Welcome back to Andersen Acres. Today I'd like to talk about testing the soil in your garden and kind of knowing what a great pH might be for most of your plants. So you can test your soil and then kind of fix it according to those test results. There are easy to use kits available at garden centers, and you can order them on Amazon. Those easy to use at home kits are good. The results will be less extensive and less accurate than those from a more professional laboratory. Soil tests are often offered through cooperative extension services and maybe through your local university, private laboratories. The corporate extension tests usually fall within the price range of the home test kits. The only thing is you have to send the results away. Private labs tend to be a little bit more expensive. Your local university, it varies. Some universities do it for free. Other universities charge a fee. So you have to find out at your own local university. Ours does it for free, but yours may not. A few of the home test kits are really good. So some of them are really elaborate and can show you a lot of the things that those more commercial tests can show you. So I'm not saying don't use a home test kit. For most of us, a home test kit is going to be the way to go. But if you do need more detail, then you do want to look into cooperative extension tests, maybe your local university or a private lab. If you are having significant problems with your soil, the more detailed results might be useful. The home tests are suitable for most of us. Most of us are fine using a home test. And some of us don't need to test our soil at all because we're fine. We're having fine luck with our plants. But if you are having plants that don't grow or you can't figure out why, it doesn't hurt to check your soil. So soil tests vary in the factors they evaluate. The ones that are conducted by labs and some of the more elaborate home test kits measure nutrients. Some labs, when they do the test, will then come back with a recommendation for amendments or fertilizers to help rectify the problem that you're having with your plants. All soil test kits measure the soil's pH, which is the degree of acidity or alkalinity as expressed on a scale of 1 to 14, so 7 being completely neutral. All of the tests provided by the home test kits will include a pH scale for you. If they don't test for pH, they're not worth your time. Okay? You want to test for pH. So if you're getting a home test kit and it doesn't test for pH, you don't want it, because pH alone, even just knowing the pH of your soil, can really help you when it comes to adding fertilizers or compost to your soil. So make sure you are testing the pH. Generally speaking, the soil's pH affects the ease with which plants can access the nutrients locked inside the soil. A pH of 7 is neutral, which is neither acidic nor alkali. That is considered your ideal, but it's fine if you're a little lower or a little higher. Numbers lower than 7 mean a little bit more acidic soil. Above 7 indicate soils that are getting a little alkaline, but it's okay if you're not exactly at 7, okay? It's okay. So generally for pH, you want to be like between 6 and 8, with 7 being your ideal, but it's okay if you're a little outside that range, just not too far outside that range. So using the home kits is actually really fast and really easy. If you are going to use a home kit, I would recommend using the same home kit every time you test, so you're getting kind of the same range of results. Otherwise, your test kits can be a little bit different and they read things a little bit differently. So if you're switching test kits every year or every 2 years or however often you want to test, you may end up with some pretty skewed results. So try using the same test kit every time. Don't buy them in bulk because they do expire. So don't buy 6 kits for the next 6 years, because by the time you get to kit 3, 4, and 5, you're going to end up with expired kits, and don't use expired kits. Expired kits are not accurate. When it comes to collecting a soil sample, you want to brush any debris off the surface of the soil, so remove any leaves or twigs or plant matter And then use a clean plastic trowel. This is important. It has to be plastic, not metal. So use a plastic trowel to dig a hole that's 4 to 6 inches deep. Then you want to take kind of a half-inch slice of that soil from the side of the hole. Put that slice of soil into a clean plastic container. Why am I saying plastic trowel and plastic container? It's because you're actually taking really small soil samples. So they might seem big to you, but they're actually really tiny. So the metal in the container or the metal in the trowel can actually affect the results of the test, because you're using such a small soil sample, and so much of that soil sample is going to come in contact with the trowel and the container. You do want to make sure that they are a plastic so that there's not any transmission of metals. You don't want to be reading metals from the trowel that are not actually in your soil. So do use plastic trowels and plastic containers. You want to take a number of samples like this from different spots around your planting areas. If you just want one basic result, then you can mix all those samples together until you have about a cup of this mixture, and then that can be sent off to the lab or tested at home. If you want to compare different soil parts, like different parts of your yard, different planting beds, to each other, then you would do this for each individual spot. So you can either do one combined result or just do, I'm doing this flower bed and I'm going to check my garden and I'm going to check these planters. So you can do them independently or you can do them all mixed together. I recommend independently because if you mix them all together, you might not know whether or not the soil in the garden is any good for growing your vegetables, because you've mixed in the soil from the planter bed that's been there for 10 years and you have no idea if that is even recent. So you'll be mixing up a lot of your different samples. So I recommend individual samples, but it's fine to take just one overriding sample. I would not submit a sample that is a mixture of planter beds or boxes and the soil in the ground. I wouldn't do that because they will be quite different. But it's okay to mix the soil from your front garden with the soil from your back garden. They're probably similar unless you've done drastically different things. So do separate those samples and send them off. So pH, most garden plants tolerate pHs between about 5 and 8, though it's best if it's like between 6 and 8. Most garden plants do tolerate a fairly wide range of soil pH. You may not need to adjust your pH unless you're really acidic or really alkali. You're probably fine. If you do need to adjust the soil pH, you want to follow the recommendations of the soil testing lab or consult with an expert so that you know what you're doing, because adjusting soil pH can be a little bit tricky. You probably don't have to adjust soil pH, honestly, but if you do, get some help. The materials generally used to adjust pH in the soil, like lime to decrease acidity, sulfur, peat moss to increase acidity, that kind of thing, are pretty inexpensive and widely available. So it's not that you can't get the materials, it's that you kind of want a little bit of guidance on how much to add depending on what the pH of your soil actually was. But if the pH is between 6 and 8, you're probably fine anyway, don't worry about it. So you do want to adjust based on your soil and your own circumstances. So don't worry about it too much. If you're in the middle somewhere, you're fine. So the nutrients available in your soil are a result of the pH of your soil. So if you're too out of whack, you won't have the proper nutrients for your plants. So you do just want to make sure you're kind of in that middle ground. And doing so, you just have to test for it, right? You just have to run the test. So get yourself, even if it's just a test to test the pH of the soil, even if you're not testing anything else, that's fine. But do check the pH of the soil. It is important to the health of your plants, especially if you have had some problems in the past with your plants growing or not growing in certain areas. You might want to just double check. Anyway, that is about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. The test kits are relatively inexpensive. You can get a very basic one at your garden center or just order them off Amazon. We'll see you tomorrow.